How will Bitcoin choose after the shock? If you are interested in this question, please follow me. We have seen the daily line many times. We started to look at it directly from 4 hours. We have been in this shock range for a very, very long time now. We can measure it a little. If we count from the first K line to now, it has been nearly 53 days, nearly 53 days. 53 days is actually a very long shock zone in the cryptocurrency market. So we have to judge direction. We should focus our attention back on the oscillating box. And at this time, let's observe its energy accumulation. If we open the energy accumulation, we can find the most important energy accumulation in the whole oscillation process. The position is the POC position, which is the position of the red line we drew. Let us mark it with a white line. In fact, it can represent a price level, which is where most people trade in this box. The red line, regardless of whether it is buying or selling, the most people traded at this position of this POC. We can find that it is at this position of the POC. In this case, the people who bought at this position at that time must be those who are bullish, and buy at this position are now caught in a floating loss. Whether it is a contract or a spot, they are now in a floating loss. If they are in that group of people who want to buy, they are in a floating loss. That is, it will reduce their desire to continue buying. After all, they are in a floating loss. So this is not conducive to our future rise. So I think that if we want to go out of a trend that is at least favorable to the bulls in the 4-hour disk, we must seeing our K line, and then standing back on the red POC. If we look at it according to this chart, it is probably in the position of 30,300 to 400 US dollars. 30,300 to 400 US dollars. I think this is a very, very critical area. So we agree it can be seen that our current price is below POC, which is 30,300 400 US dollars. So what does this mean? The group of people who sold at this price at that time are now making money. What would they think of this group of people at that time? People who sell Bitcoin or people who are short, regardless of the contract or the spot. They may think that the short seller may think that I am short at the highest point of this whole market. And he may think so because you can see what we have experienced before. Such a large period of rise. If it is a person who sells spot goods, he will have the same idea. That is, I actually escaped to the highest point of our entire period. Then this is very detrimental to the development of bulls. And he will gradually it tends to be short. So from a 4-hour point of view, when our price is still below the POC, we can interpret that it is more favorable for the short. So let's turn this indicator off. But for the short, in fact, we are in this position. I also think that he has been oscillating for too long. Let's take a look. Now it is indeed more beneficial to the shorts. But if the shorts don't attack, if they don't break down, they will continue to oscillate here for a long time. In terms of time, the advantage of short positions will gradually disappear. Why? Because we have been oscillating below for a long time. The POC position will also move down, and it will also move down. Let's take a look at why it is more favorable for short positions now. The advantage is only limited to the 4-hour level. In the 4-hour period, we can find that we were originally oscillating in the upper range. But now we have oscillated in the lower range. This is definitely a relatively weak performance for the bulls. If the bears do not take advantage of the victory to pursue, if we don't take advantage of the victory and pursue it, if we don't break through immediately, then we will continue to oscillate and our short advantage will gradually be lost. This is a bit like when we were in front of us when we were walking in the white box. Here is the time when bulls have the most opportunity to attack upwards. However, the bulls did not start the attack. But hey, he continued to oscillate in this place. And then he gradually eliminated the advantage of the bulls when he oscillated. In fact, we are also in the same way now. So we can unify the shocks a little bit. When there is a time of shock, he can resolve the crisis. For example, in front of us, the bulls are about to attack. But the shock has resolved this opportunity. In fact, we are the same now. We are short now. In fact, in 4 hours, he is relatively there is an advantage. But if we stay in this place and fluctuate for a longer time, the advantage of short positions will gradually disappear. Well, let's switch back to hour by hour. I think there is nothing to talk about. We are now 6 days and our shock. Our fluctuation range is getting smaller and smaller. And the amount of energy is also getting smaller and smaller. I think there is really nothing to be interpreted here. But you can see that we are now near this trend line. So I think so too. In fact, did he go through failure in this position? Yes, we do go through failure. But usually it doesn't mean that he can't go through failure once. But if we go through failure, he will usually go through multiple failures. That is, 1 stage of upswing, 2 stages of upswing, 2 the collapse of the period. And then we continue to rise, and then it fails again. This is usually the case. Now we only have a period. Well, I think the chance of him falling sharply is relatively low. Thank you very much. Everyone is very welcome. You can help me like the video, subscribe and share. Turning on the little bell is the biggest support for me. Now, Bybit's latest activity is the one you treasure hunting activity. Both new and old users can participate. You can slide to. There is a list of tasks at the bottom. As long as you complete the corresponding task list, you can get the corresponding number of lottery draws. The gifts for these lottery draws are all in this place, including experience gold, shorts, and some tokens, VIP. The experience card, the gold bars of the switch. You're welcome. You can participate in the lucky draw. Thank you very much. Goodbye.